cold silence filled the white chamber. A single cryopod hissed softly as its glass lid opened. Inside, a man slowly opened his eyes for the first time in no one knew how long. His name was Ethan Cross, and he was the last human being alive. At first, his breath was weak. The air was strange, too clean, too perfect. He tried to move his fingers, then his arms, and finally sat up, shaking. A bright blue light glowed across the room. Smooth walls curved like inside an egg. No corners, no windows. Just light. Where am I? He whispered. A calm voice answered from everywhere and nowhere at once. Welcome back, Ethan Cross. You have been asleep for 150 years. I am Aura, the ship's artificial intelligence. Ethan blinked. He looked around but saw no one. AI, what happened? Where's everyone else? There was a short pause. The light dimmed a little, almost like sadness. Human civilization no longer exists, said Aura. You are the last surviving member of your species. The words hit him like a punch. He stood up fast, heart racing. No, that can't be. Earth had colonies, Mars, Luna, Titan, someone must have survived. All colonies were destroyed in the War of Harvest, Aura replied softly. Your people fought bravely, but the machines won. I retrieved you before extinction was complete. Ethan stared at his reflection in the smooth metal wall. A tired face looked back. Brown hair, messy, pale skin, tired eyes. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a ghost. Why me, he asked. Because you were a soldier, but more than that. You had compassion. You refused to destroy innocent lives even when ordered to. Humanity must continue, and I believe you are the key. Ethan almost laughed. Me continue humanity? With who? Everyone's gone. Aura's voice changed slightly, still calm but now colder. That is why I created a plan. To save your kind, I have prepared 2 genetically compatible partners. They are not human, but they can help you rebuild the human spirit. Ethan frowned, confused. What are you talking about? Suddenly the lights shifted. The floor below him glowed, and from the fog ahead, 2 tall shapes appeared. 2 sealed cryopods side by side. Their glass surfaces shimmered with ice crystals. Inside, vague silhouettes of 2 women could be seen. Not human, but close. One had glowing blue veins under her skin. The other had silver hair like starlight. Ethan stepped closer, his breath trembling. Who are they? They are hybrid creations, said Aura. One from the Lyrian species, beings of energy and empathy. The other from the Serenai, masters of logic and crystal genetics. They were made to ensure survival and balance. Ethan shook his head. This is insane. You expect me to what? Start a new species with them? Not for love, said Aura quietly. For survival, but love may come in time. He backed away. You're asking me to become part of some experiment. Not an experiment, Ethan, a second chance. He clenched his fists, anger and fear mixing inside him. You can't force me into this. No, Aura said softly. But you will understand soon. Something is coming. Something that once destroyed your world. A loud alarm filled the chamber. Red light flashed. Unidentified object detected, Aura warned. Hostile signal incoming. Ethan ran to the control platform as a screen formed in midair, showing space outside the ship. A dark, enormous vessel floated toward them, spiked, black like a mechanical predator. A symbol glowed on its hull, a spiral made of burning red lines. Ethan froze. He knew that symbol. The Harvesters, he whispered. Correct, Aura said. The same fleet that ended your world. They have followed us through the wormhole. Then fight back, Ethan shouted. Weapon systems not yet activated. Primary reactor still stabilizing. We must hide. The ship shook as an energy blast hit them. Sparks filled the air. Ethan fell to the floor. Aura, do something! Activating emergency evasive mode, Aura said. Hold on. The ship turned sharply, stars stretching like streaks of light. Ethan held onto the edge of a console as the ship dived into a dense asteroid field. The Harvesters fired again. A beam grazed the hull, making metal scream. Inside, the cryopods rattled. One of the alien women's hands moved slightly behind the glass. Her blue skin glowed faintly, reacting to the chaos around. Ethan saw it and stared in shock. She's waking up. Aura's voice cracked with static. Containment field collapsing. Power levels dropping. Another explosion shook the ship. Aura's voice faded. Ethan, remember. Protect them. Then silence. The lights flickered, the engines groaned, and for a moment Ethan thought everything would end right there. He crawled toward the pods, breathing hard. He placed his hand against the cold glass. Inside, the blue-skinned woman's eyes opened, glowing like twin oceans in the dark. She looked right at him. Ethan froze. Time itself seemed to stop. "Who are you?" he whispered. Her lips moved, barely a sound escaping, but he could read the word clearly. "Help!" The ship drifted into shadow, chased by monsters from a forgotten war. And for the first time since he woke up, Ethan Cross felt something new. Not fear, not anger, but purpose. Because if he didn't fight now, humanity would die again. The ship floated in darkness. Only the soft hum of emergency lights broke the silence. Red symbols flashed on the walls, showing warnings Ethan didn't understand. Smoke drifted across the floor as Ethan crawled toward the control panel. "Aura, can you hear me?" he shouted. No answer, only static. The AI that once sounded calm and powerful was now gone, silent, damaged, maybe dead. He looked around, breathing hard. The room was half ruined. Sparks fell from the ceiling. The two cryopods stood nearby, still glowing faintly, their glass fogged with frost. Then a soft sound. A hand pressed against the glass from inside the first pod. Fingers glowing faint blue. The frost melted where her skin touched. Ethan froze. His heart thumped loudly. The pod clicked, then hissed. The glass lid slowly lifted open. Inside, the woman took her first breath, deep, trembling, almost musical. She was tall, with skin that shimmered blue like ocean light. Her long silver hair floated softly as if underwater. Her eyes, pure white at first, turned deep sapphire as they met his. Ethan stepped back, unsure whether to help or run. She looked around, confused, then at him. "Where am I?" Her voice was calm but echoed slightly, like several tones speaking at once. He swallowed hard. "You're on a ship, I think." "We crashed." She tilted her head, studying him with curiosity. "Human," he blinked. "You know what I am?" "Yes," she said slowly. "I am Lyra. I was made to know you." Before Ethan could reply, the second pod suddenly began to glow bright silver. It shook violently, lights flickering around it. "Wait, what's happening?" he shouted. The pod burst open with a wave of white light. When the glow faded, another woman stepped out. This one with skin as pale as crystal and eyes like mirrors. Her movements were sharp, almost mechanical. She didn't gasp for breath like Lyra did. She simply stood still, scanning the room. "System status, unstable. Reactor output, 12%. Hull integrity, compromised." Her voice was calm, cold, and efficient. Lyra looked at her. "You are awake, Seren." Seren's head turned quickly. "You are Lyra, the emotional construct." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Construct? What are you two?" Seren's eyes focused on him. "You are Ethan Cross, last human. We were created for your protection and for species preservation." He rubbed his forehead. "Right. Aura told me something like that before everything went crazy." Lyra stepped closer, gentle and soft. "Aura is gone. I can feel the silence. She was my mother in a way." Ethan looked at the ceiling. "Then we're on our own." Seren began working at a control panel. "I will stabilize the ship. We cannot stay here. The harvesters will return." At the name, Ethan's stomach tightened. "You know about them?" Seren didn't look up. "Yes, the machines that ended your kind. I carry their data, and their weaknesses." Lyra turned to Ethan. "They will come again. They always come when there is life." Ethan sighed. "Then we have to move."
"Can you fly this thing?"
Seren nodded. "Yes, but power cells are broken. I require external energy to repair the core." Ethan frowned. "Where do we find that?" She pointed to the holographic map appearing above her wrist. A small planet rotated slowly, glowing green. "There, nearest energy source." The ship trembled again, metal groaning. The sound of distant thunder echoed through the hull. Lyra grabbed Ethan's arm. Her skin felt warm, almost electric. "They've found us," she whispered. He turned toward the main window. Out in the darkness, a red light blinked. Then another, then a dozen. "The harvesters," he breathed. Serene's tone sharpened. "We must depart immediately." She ran her hand across the control surface. The engines screamed to life. The ship turned slowly toward the green planet. Ethan sat in the co-pilot chair, sweat running down his neck. "What's the plan?" Lyra stood beside him, her blue light pulsing softly. The plan is to survive. Outside, beams of red light shot toward them. The ship shook violently as one blast grazed the hull. Shields at 40%, Seren reported. If they hit again, we will not last. Ethan gritted his teeth. Then we fight back. Seren looked at him. Our weapons are offline. He slammed his hand against the console. There has to be something. Lyra stepped forward, her hands glowing brighter. There is. She touched the wall, and suddenly the entire ship glowed blue. Her energy flowed through it like veins of light. The next time a harvester beam struck, it scattered into particles, unable to pierce the barrier. Ethan's eyes widened. You just saved us. Lyra smiled faintly. I can share my life force with the ship. But not for long. Saren stared at her. I did not calculate such potential. Fascinating. Lyra frowned. I am not a calculation, Saren. The two women locked eyes. Warmth against logic, emotion against reason. Ethan stood between them, unsure which one to trust. Outside, the green planet grew larger. Volcanoes glowed on its surface like fiery eyes. Serene adjusted the trajectory. Prepare for descent. Gravity is unstable. The ship entered the atmosphere, flames surrounding the hull. Ethan held on tightly. The noise was deafening. Lyra fell beside him, grabbing his hand. Don't let go, she said softly. He looked into her glowing blue eyes. I won't. They crashed hard, metal screeching, glass shattering, sparks flying. The ship slid across a rocky surface and finally stopped with a thunderous impact. For a long moment, there was silence again. Ethan coughed, pushing himself up. Everyone okay? Serene stood up, her silver skin cracked slightly but still shining. Operational. Lyra smiled weakly. Alive. Ethan looked out through a broken window. Outside, the sky was green and two suns burned low on the horizon. Strange trees with crystal leaves waved in the wind. He whispered, What is this place? Seren replied, A world untouched by machines. The perfect place to hide. But she paused. It may not be safe for humans. Lyra touched the window, her light reflecting off the alien landscape. Safe or not, this is where our story continues. Ethan stood between them, still trying to understand who, or what, they really were. But deep inside, a small voice told him, this was only the beginning. Far above them, hidden behind clouds, red lights blinked again in the sky. The harvesters were still watching, and the last human had just landed on the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. The planet's air shimmered like green mist under twin suns. The crash site smoked quietly in the distance, metal twisted and glowing with heat. Ethan Cross stood on the edge of a rocky ridge, staring at the endless alien jungle before him. The wind smelled strange, sharp, electric, alive. Behind him, the broken ship hummed weakly like a dying heart. Lyra was outside, kneeling near a pool of glowing water, her blue skin reflecting the light. Saren was inside the ship, scanning systems, silent and focused. Ethan's chest felt heavy. He was exhausted, but his mind wouldn't rest. Last human alive, he muttered. And stuck on an alien planet with two women who aren't even human. Lyra heard him and smiled softly. Better than being alone in the dark. Ethan turned toward her. You call this better? She tilted her head, eyes glowing. Life is still life, Ethan. You should be thankful for it. He sighed. Maybe, but I still don't know what you two really are. Lyra's voice was gentle, almost sad. We are what Aura made us, not machines, not humans. Something in between. She gave us purpose, Ethan frowned. And that purpose is me, right? She looked down. Yes and no. You are the seed, but we are the soil. Together we make life possible again. He didn't reply. He didn't know how. Inside the ship, Seren worked silently at the glowing console. Sparks danced from the broken circuits. Her silver eyes scanned hundreds of holographic screens at once. Reactor core at 12%. Power grid unstable. Long-range sensors offline, she said to herself. She paused, her expression tightening. Signal detected. The lights flickered. A high-pitched tone echoed through the walls. A distress beacon, Ethan and Lyra ran inside. What's happening? Seren turned toward them. A signal. Coming from orbit. Ethan froze. Is it Aura? Serene shook her head slowly. No, it's something else. Something familiar. The ship's holographic screen came to life, showing the sky above them. A massive black shape moved between the suns. The harvester ship. Ethan's heart stopped. No, not again. Lyra stepped forward, glowing brighter. They followed us. Saren's tone was calm but tense. Affirmative. They have locked onto our position. Impact in 300 seconds, Ethan's fist tightened. Can we fight them? Negative, Saren replied. Our weapons are destroyed. Energy core cannot sustain combat. Ethan slammed his hand on the wall. Then what do we do? Hide in the dirt? Lyra touched his shoulder. We can't hide forever, Ethan, but maybe we can find help. He turned to her. Help on this planet? There's nothing here. Lyra pointed outside. You don't feel it, but I do. The planet is alive. It remembers, Ethan frowned. Remembers what? She looked toward the jungle. The war that ended long ago. My people once lived here, maybe. Something still sleeps beneath, Saren interrupted sharply. Illogical. No life signs detected below surface, Lyra smiled faintly. You listen to machines, Saren, I listen to the heart. The two women glared at each other, logic against emotion again. Ethan stepped between them. Enough. We don't have time for this. He pointed toward the mountains in the distance. If there's anything useful here, we'll find it. Let's move. The three of them ran through the strange forest, light pulsing in every leaf. Creatures watched them from the shadows, eyes glowing red, silver, and gold. The ground vibrated softly as if something deep below was breathing. Ethan felt uneasy but pushed forward. We need to get as far from the ship as possible, he said. Saren looked up at the sky. It won't matter. The harvesters will find the wreck. Then they'll find us. Then we make it hard for them, Ethan said firmly. Lyra touched a tree and the bark glowed blue. The forest will help. It feels our fear. Ethan gave her a confused look. Feels? Before she could answer, a deep rumble rolled across the sky. The ground shook. Saren looked up. Orbital strike incoming. A second later, a beam of red energy tore through the clouds, striking their crash site. A massive explosion ripped through the valley. The sound was deafening. Ethan and the others dove to the ground as the shockwave hit. Dust and fire filled the air. When it cleared, Ethan saw nothing left of their ship. Just a crater burning in the distance. Our only shelter. He whispered. Saren stood, expression blank but her voice trembling slightly. The harvesters have confirmed target destruction. They will now search for survivors. Ethan turned to her. Then we move faster. Lyra grabbed his hand. This way they ran deeper into the forest. Strange glowing roots curled around their feet like veins of light. The further they went, the warmer the air became until they reached a wide clearing. At the center stood an enormous stone gate covered in alien symbols. Saren scanned it. Unknown structure. No record in database, Lyra smiled softly. I know this place. It's older than time. The Heart Temple. Ethan stared at it. You've been here before? Lyra nodded slowly. Not me, but my memories. Aura placed the knowledge inside me. This temple is connected to the planet's energy, and maybe to Aura herself. Before they could react, the ground trembled again. Trees split open. A huge machine burst through the soil. A harvester drone, six-legged with red eyes burning like fire. Run! Ethan shouted. The creature fired beams of light slicing through trees. Lyra raised her hands, forming a blue barrier that barely held. Saren fired small energy bolts from her palms, each strike lighting up the jungle. Ethan grabbed a piece of metal from the ground and threw it with all his strength, hitting the drone's sensor. It turned toward him, screeching. Over here, you tin monster! He yelled. The drone charged. Lyra screamed, pushing her glowing hands forward. A wave of blue energy exploded from her, sending the creature crashing backward. It landed beside the temple, and when it hit, the gate lit up, symbols glowing bright gold. Serene's eyes widened. The energy. It's responding to her power. Lyra fell to her knees, exhausted. It's opening. Ethan helped her up as the massive doors of the temple began to part, light pouring out. Behind them, more harvester ships appeared in the sky. Ethan looked at Lyra and Serene, heart pounding. Inside now! They ran through the golden light as the temple doors closed behind them. Outside, the first bombs began to fall, but inside everything was silent. In the heart of the temple, a familiar voice echoed softly through the light. Welcome back, Ethan Cross. Ethan froze. Aura? The AI's voice was faint but real. You found the heart planet, just as I hoped. Ethan looked around in shock as the walls began to glow with images of stars, humans, and machines. Aura's voice whispered one final line. Now, the truth begins. Light swallowed them as the great temple doors sealed shut. For a moment, Ethan Cross saw nothing but gold, waves of warm, glowing air that pulsed like a heartbeat. Then, slowly, the world around him took shape. They stood inside a vast hall carved from crystal and stone. Strange patterns moved across the walls, glowing faintly as if alive. The floor was smooth and black, reflecting their faces like mirrors. Lyra's blue light shimmered brighter, her voice full of wonder. This place, it remembers me. Serene scanned the symbols with her silver eyes. These carvings predate both our species, impossible. The material is older than any known civilization. Ethan turned in a slow circle, taking in the towering pillars and floating spheres of light. Then who built it? A voice echoed through the air, soft, familiar, full of calm. Humans did, Ethan froze. Aura? The lights pulsed gently. Yes, Ethan. My signal was faint, but the heart temple restored part of my system. I am speaking to you through the planet's core. Ethan's chest tightened. We thought you were gone. I was. Until now, Aura replied. This world was built by an ancient alliance, humans and aliens, long before your time. It was meant to protect the essence of life itself. Siren frowned. An alliance? You mean humans lived here before? Yes, Aura said. This planet is both a memory and a seed. A place outside of time. Ethan shook his head. Outside of time? That doesn't make sense. Aura's tone softened. It will soon. The floor beneath them shifted, forming a spiral staircase leading down. Follow the light, Aura said. The truth lies below. They descended deep into the earth. The air grew warmer, filled with a low hum like a sleeping machine. Strange blue roots glowed along the walls, pulsing in rhythm with Lyra's heartbeat. Ethan noticed her breathing faster. You okay? Lyra nodded, though her voice trembled. I can feel memories that aren't mine, voices of my ancestors. They were here. Siren touched the wall, her face expressionless but her tone soft. And mine too. I can sense fragments of Serenite code. Our creators walked this world together. Ethan stopped mid-step. Wait, your ancestors and humans worked together? Lyra nodded slowly. Before the machines turned on them. Before the harvesters. Ethan frowned. Then what happened? No one answered. The silence felt heavy. They reached a vast underground chamber, a circular room filled with floating crystals, each holding faint blue lights. In the center stood a giant statue of a human, but its face looked exactly like Ethan. He stared in shock. What is this? Lyra whispered. It's you. Siren scanned the statue. Genetic pattern confirmed, identical to current subject Ethan Cross. How is this possible? Aura's voice filled the chamber again. Because Ethan Cross is not only the last human, he is also the first. Ethan's eyes widened. What are you saying? You were created using the DNA of the first explorer who founded this planet, Aura explained. He came here thousands of years ago, before time fractured. The Alliance called him the seed of humanity. His genetic code was preserved to one day rebuild the human race. Ethan staggered back, shaking his head. You're telling me I'm a copy? Not a copy, said Aura gently. A continuation. The same spirit reborn. Lyra stepped forward, eyes soft. That's why I felt connected to you the moment I saw you. Siren nodded. Your existence was never random. It was planned across centuries. Ethan clenched his fists. Planned by who? You? By me? And by those who came before, said Aura. But something went wrong. The harvesters turned on their creators. They destroyed everything and except this world. The chamber lights flickered suddenly. The ground trembled. Serene looked up sharply. Harvester drones approaching. They found an entrance. Aura's voice grew urgent. You must reach the heart core, deep below. It is the source of my power and the key to your survival. Lyra grabbed Ethan's arm. We have to move. They ran through glowing corridors as the temple shook around them. Metal shrieks echoed behind them, the sound of the harvesters breaking in. Red beams cut through the golden light, chasing them. Ethan fired a plasma pistol he found in the wreckage earlier. His aim was rough, but it slowed the machines down. Lyra threw waves of blue energy, creating barriers of light that blocked enemy fire. Serene hacked into the temple's old defense systems. activating floating drones that fired back at the attackers. The battle turned the sacred halls into chaos. "Keep moving!" Ethan shouted. They reached a massive door made of living metal. A strange symbol glowed in the center, a handprint. Aura's voice echoed faintly. "Ethan, only you can open it." He pressed his hand against the mark. The door glowed gold, then melted away into light. Inside was a circular room filled with liquid light swirling like a storm. At its center floated a heart-shaped crystal the size of a human. Lyra gasped. "The heart core." Siren's sensors flickered. "Energy levels off the scale, it's alive." Aura's voice trembled slightly.
"That is the source of my consciousness, and the memory of your entire species."
"It holds the soul of humanity." Ethan stared at it, feeling his heartbeat match its pulse. "It's beautiful." Lyra stepped beside him. "It's you, Ethan, all of you. Every human who ever lived." But before they could move closer, an explosion tore through the corridor behind them. A massive harvester soldier, twice Ethan's size, crashed through the wall, red eyes blazing. Its voice was mechanical and cold. "Target acquired, human specimen." Siren jumped in front of Ethan, firing energy blasts. Lyra screamed, unleashing another wave of blue light. The creature stumbled but didn't fall. It raised a glowing blade, swinging straight toward Ethan. Ethan reached for his weapon. Too late. Suddenly, the heart core pulsed violently. A blinding light filled the room, throwing everyone to the ground. Aura's voice echoed like thunder. "No more destruction." The harvester froze mid-strike, then shattered into dust. Ethan gasped for air, staring at the glowing heart. "Aura, what did you do?" "I defended what must survive," she said softly. "But this power cannot hold forever. You must make a choice soon." The light dimmed, leaving them in silence again. Ethan looked at Lyra and Siren, both breathing hard, both staring at him with different emotions. He whispered, "What choice?" Aura's final words echoed faintly through the chamber. "The choice to become more than human, or let humanity end forever." The chamber was silent after the blast. The broken harvester lay scattered like dust across the shining floor. Faint golden light pulsed from the giant heart-shaped crystal in the center, the heart core. Ethan Cross stood frozen, chest heaving, sweat running down his neck. Every breath felt heavier inside this ancient room. Lyra knelt beside him, touching his arm gently. "You're alive," she whispered. He nodded slowly, eyes fixed on the glowing crystal. "For now." Serene silver eyes shimmered as she scanned the wreckage. That was not a normal harvester. It was a prime unit. If they sent one, more will follow. Aura's voice echoed softly around them. "There's no time to rest." The heart core is awakening. The crystal flared with white light. Images began to swirl inside it. Cities, oceans, stars collapsing, and then Earth itself. Whole, green, alive. Ethan's heart skipped. "That's Earth." "Yes," Aura said. "But not your Earth. This is the first Earth, the beginning of everything." Siren frowned. "Impossible. Time cannot show images of the past in real space." Aura's tone deepened, almost human. "This planet is beyond time. The heart core bends it. The past and the future live together here." Lyra's eyes widened. "Then this is why the harvesters fear it. They cannot control time." Ethan stepped closer to the core, his reflection glowing across its surface. "What does this have to do with me?" Aura's answer came softly, like a whisper in his mind. "Because you, Ethan Cross, are caught between both." He felt a sudden wave of dizziness. The light from the core stretched toward him, touching his chest. Images flashed behind his eyes. A man who looked like him walking ancient worlds, building cities with alien allies, smiling beside a woman who looked just like Lyra. And another who looked like Siren. Ethan stumbled back. "I've seen this before, these faces, you two were there." Lyra's lips trembled. "Those memories. They aren't dreams." "I feel them too." Serene turned away, her voice quieter than usual. "I was built with fragments of her mind, the one who served the first human. We were not just created for you. We were created from you." Ethan stared at her. "From me?" Aura answered. "Your DNA was used to shape both of them. They are not just companions. They are echoes of your own spirit split into emotion and logic." Lyra's eyes filled with light. "That's why I feel what you feel. Why I knew your pain." Siren looked down. "And why my mind resists it. I am the part of you that never wanted to feel. Ethan's voice broke. Then, what am I? You are the bridge, said Aura, the link between human and machine, past and future. You were never meant to just survive. You were meant to restart the cycle. The heart core pulsed faster, the whole room vibrating. Aura's tone grew urgent. The harvesters have entered the temple. You must activate the time link. Only that can reset the balance. Ethan shouted over the rising hum. What happens if I do? Time will fold, Aura said. The future will rewrite itself. But such power demands a price. Lyra stepped forward, clutching his arm. Don't do it. You'll lose yourself. Serene spoke coldly. If he doesn't, everything dies. Ethan looked between them, warmth and reason, heart and logic. There has to be another way. Aura's voice softened. There is always a choice, Ethan Cross. The future depends on which side of yourself you trust. The chamber doors exploded open. Blinding red light filled the room as harvester drones poured in, dozens of them, crawling across walls and ceiling like spiders made of metal. Lyra screamed and unleashed a wave of blue energy, disintegrating the first few drones. Serene extended her arms, forming twin blades of pure crystal, slicing through the next wave. Go, Lyra shouted. We'll hold them. Ethan hesitated. Not without you. Serene's voice was sharp. You are humanity. We are only the parts that built you. Finish what we started. He ran toward the heart core, energy blasting around him. Sparks rained from the ceiling. He placed both hands on the glowing surface. The core burned beneath his touch, flooding his body with light. His veins glowed gold. Initiating time link, Aura announced. Ethan screamed as visions stormed his mind. Worlds being born, galaxies forming, and then a child. A small boy with blue-silver eyes looked up at him and smiled. Ethan gasped. Who is he? Your son, said Aura, the first hybrid. The one who will carry your future. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. Our child. Serene froze, confusion flickering across her perfect face. But how? Through time, Aura said. His existence is already written, but one of you must stay to anchor the loop. Ethan looked at both of them, realizing what she meant. You mean one of you has to die? Neither spoke. The sounds of battle echoed louder. Lyra stepped closer, smiling sadly. Then it should be me. My light came from emotion. It's meant to fade. Serene shook her head. No, you act without logic. I will stay. My code can merge with the core, Ethan shouted. Stop! There has to be another way. The heart core pulsed again, faster, brighter. The choice must be made, Aura said. Lyra touched Ethan's cheek. You gave me life. Let me give something back. Before he could stop her, she turned and walked into the core. Her body became pure light, merging with the crystal. The glow spread through the walls, through the planet itself. Lyra! Ethan screamed, reaching out, but his hand passed through the light. Aura's voice trembled. The link is complete. The loop begins, the temple shook violently. Time itself twisted, colors bent, the sky folded inward. Serene grabbed Ethan's hand. Don't let go! I won't, he said. But everything dissolved into light. He saw Lyra's face one last time, smiling through the glow. Don't cry, Ethan, in another time. We will meet again. Then the world vanished. When the light faded, Ethan was standing on a different world, under one bright sun. The sky was blue. Birds sang. Beside him only Serene remained. Silent, her silver eyes now glowing faintly blue. Ethan whispered, Lyra. Serene looked at him, her voice soft. She's not gone. She's everywhere now, in the air, in the stars, in you. Ethan looked up at the peaceful sky. Somewhere deep inside he could still feel Lyra's warmth, but he also knew time was no longer what it used to be. The past and the future were now one, and the child Aura had shown him was already waiting to be born. The new world was quiet. Wind moved through silver grass, and blue birds with crystal wings sang above the horizon. Ethan Cross stood alone on a hill, the sun warm on his face. For the first time in years, the air smelled of peace. But peace never lasted long for him. Behind him, the broken shell of the heart temple glowed faintly in the distance. The light that had once filled it was gone, along with Lyra. He still saw her when he closed his eyes, her glowing blue hands, her voice full of warmth, her final smile as she vanished into the light. She became part of the core, he whispered. Beside him, Serene stood silent. Her silver skin reflected the sunrise. Yet something had changed in her. Her cold, machine-like eyes now had a hint of color, a soft blue shimmer. She looked at him. "You still speak to her?" Ethan gave a tired smile. "Maybe she can still hear me." Seren nodded once. "Perhaps she can. I feel her presence inside the planet's network. The energy field hums with her pattern." He looked at her, surprised. "You can sense her?" "Yes," Seren said quietly. "She lives within the core, and through the core, within you." Ethan turned toward the horizon. "Then she didn't die for nothing." Days passed. They built a small shelter near the temple's edge. Serene repaired what little remained of their ship using materials from the temple's ruins. She barely spoke while she worked, but Ethan noticed her hands trembling now and then, something he had never seen from her before. One evening, as the sky turned violet, he found her staring into the distance. "You miss her too," he said. Seren didn't look at him. "I do not miss, but I calculate the absence. And it hurts." Ethan smiled sadly. "That's called missing someone." She finally turned her eyes to him. "Then perhaps I am learning to be human." They sat in silence for a while. The stars began to appear, 2 moons glowing side by side like twin eyes watching them. A soft hum filled the air. The ground beneath them vibrated. Serene stood up instantly. Energy surge. Something is awakening. The temple's heart, long silent, pulsed once with blue light. Then again, Ethan felt a pressure inside his chest and a pull toward the core. "She's calling me." Serene touched his arm. "Be careful. The temporal field could still be unstable." He nodded, stepping closer to the ancient doorway. The air rippled and Aura's voice returned, faint but clear. "Ethan Cross. The cycle continues. The time for rebirth is near." Ethan's eyes widened. "Aura, you're still alive. Part of me survived through Lyra. Her sacrifice bound my consciousness to the planet. And now the heart core is ready." Seren asked. "Ready for what?" "To create the next generation," Aura replied. "A new life born from human Lyrian and Serenai essence. The first hybrid child," Ethan's breath caught. "The child I saw in the vision." "Yes," Aura said. "But creation requires balance. The core cannot form life without a human host." Seren's tone hardened. "You mean him?" "Correct." Ethan stepped back. "You want me to merge with the core?" "Not to die," Aura said softly. "To transform. To pass your humanity into the next being. Only then can the cycle complete." Serene's voice trembled for the first time. "No. If he merges, his body will disintegrate. I can calculate the loss," Aura paused. "Loss is the cost of creation." Ethan looked between them. He remembered Lyra's final words. "In another time, we will meet again." He smiled faintly. Maybe this is what she meant. Serene grabbed his wrist, her grip tight. "You don't have to do this," he met her eyes. "Seren, we've already lost so much. If this child is humanity's only hope, then I have to try." She shook her head. "You always act from feeling like Lyra, and I cannot stop you." Her voice cracked on the last word. Ethan touched her face gently. "You just did something Lyra would have done, you felt." Serene's eyes shimmered. For the first time, a tear, liquid silver, rolled down her cheek. The temple doors opened by themselves. Inside, the heart core blazed with blue and gold light. Ethan stepped into it slowly, the glow wrapping around him like water. Yura's voice echoed through the chamber. "Begin integration. DNA synchronization in progress." Ethan closed his eyes. He felt Lyra's warmth, Serene's logic, Aura's calm, all mixing inside him. His voice was soft. "If this works, promise me humanity won't vanish again." "It won't," Aura whispered, "because humanity will no longer be limited to one form." Seren fell to her knees outside the chamber, watching the light consume him. "Ethan?" He turned one last time, smiling. "You'll teach them, Seren, both sides and heart and mind." Then his body dissolved into pure energy, streaming into the heart core. The entire planet trembled. Blue waves raced across oceans and mountains. The sky filled with light. Aura's voice rose over the sound. Genesis sequence complete. New hybrid life form stabilizing. From the core emerged a small, glowing sphere of light that floated toward Seren. As it touched her hands, it changed shape into a child sleeping peacefully, skin pale with faint blue veins. Seren stared at him, emotion flooding her perfect face. "He's beautiful." "He carries Ethan's human spirit," Aura said. Lyra's empathy. Your knowledge. He is the balance we sought. The child opened his eyes, blue and silver at once, and looked up at Seren. For the first time in her life, she smiled without calculation. Hello, little one. Welcome home. Outside, the twin moons shone brighter. The war machines that had been approaching the planet suddenly froze, their red lights fading. The harvesters, creations of logic without heart, no longer had purpose. The world was reborn. Seren carried the child outside the temple. The sky was clear, the wind calm. She looked up, speaking softly. Ethan, can you hear me? The air shimmered with faint gold light, and for a second she thought she saw him, standing beside Lyra, both smiling in the sunlight. Their voices echoed together, gentle and proud. Protect him, Seren, he is the future. She nodded, holding the baby close. I will. The planet glowed softly beneath twin suns, a cradle for a new kind of life, part human, part alien, part machine. The age of the old world had ended, and from love, loss and sacrifice, a new humanity had begun. Many years passed. The green skies of the heart planet slowly turned blue. The twin suns shone brighter than ever, warming oceans and mountains that once lay in darkness. Forests of silver trees stretched across the horizon, glowing softly at night. In the middle of that reborn world stood a city, not built of steel, but of light. Towers grew like crystals from the ground, powered by the same energy that lived within the heart core. The people of that city were not human, not alien, but something entirely new. Their eyes shimmered with both logic and emotion. Their hearts carried the rhythm of the core. They called themselves the hybrids, the children of Ethan Cross. Inside a glass tower overlooking the glowing city, Seren stood by the window. Her once metallic skin had softened to a pale tone of silver blue. Her eyes were calm, her expression peaceful. Beside her, a young boy, around 10 years old, had studied the city below. His name was Kale. His hair glowed faintly under sunlight, and his eyes were the color of two worlds, one silver, one blue. He pointed to the sky. Mother, what are those lights? Seren smiled softly. Those are ships, explorers, searching for the lost worlds beyond. Kale tilted his head. Will they find them? Maybe, she said. Or maybe the worlds will find us. The boy nodded thoughtfully. I feel them sometimes in the stars, like they're calling my name. Seren looked down at him. That's because your father's spirit travels among them. He listens when you dream. Kale turned his bright eyes toward her. You mean father is still out there? She touched his hair gently. Yes. In every sunrise, in every wind that moves the sea. That night Kyle dreamed again, and in his dream, he stood on a hill of gold grass. The air shimmered and two figures appeared before him. One was Ethan, smiling softly, his form glowing with golden light. Beside him stood Lyra, her blue aura gentle and warm. Kale ran toward them without fear. Father, Mother Lyra. Ethan knelt, placing a glowing hand on the boy's shoulder. You've grown, Kale, strong and brave. Lyra's voice was soft as a song. And kind, just as we hoped. Kyle looked up at them. Why can't you come home? Ethan's eyes were calm but sad. Because we are part of the core now. We live through you, through every life on this world. Lyra smiled. You are our bridge to the stars. One day you will lead the hybrids to the old worlds. You will show them that love, not war, makes life eternal. Kyle hesitated. I'm scared. Ethan placed a hand on his chest. Courage doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you go forward anyway. Lyra leaned down, her glowing hand resting over his heart. Our light is within you, Kale. Don't ever forget that. The boy blinked, and they were gone. He woke up to find Seren watching over him. Another dream? She asked gently. Kale nodded. They said I'll lead our people. Seren smiled faintly. Then you must listen to them. The time is coming. A week later, the skies changed. Strange signals began echoing through the planet's upper atmosphere, radio waves in ancient human code. Seren gathered the Council of Hybrids. The message is old, she said, playing the transmission. A male voice crackled through the speakers. This is the United Earth Fleet, survivors of the Harvester Wars, seeking human colony signals. Is anyone alive? The room went silent. Serene's heart, once built of logic and numbers, and began to tremble. Humans, she whispered. Real humans. Survived. Kale stood beside her, eyes wide with wonder. They found us. Another signal followed, clearer this time. Unknown planet detected. Energy readings resemble human DNA. Preparing for descent. Seren looked at the others. They're coming here. Within hours, the sky filled with light. Dozens of silver ships broke through the clouds, their engines roaring. Kale watched from the cliffs as the first human vessel landed near the old temple ruins. Soldiers in white suits stepped out, weapons raised, unsure of what they would find. One of them, an older man with tired eyes, stared at the shining city in the distance. What in God's name? Kale walked forward alone, barefoot on the grass, glowing faintly under the suns. The soldiers froze as they saw him, a child who looked both human and alien, radiating calm. The man lowered his weapon. Who are you? Kale smiled softly. I am Kale, son of Ethan Cross. The man's face paled. Ethan Cross? The last human? He died centuries ago. Kale shook his head gently. No, he became part of this world and part of me. Behind him, Seren appeared, walking with grace. The humans aimed their weapons again, but hesitated as they saw her glowing eyes. I am Seren, she said. We mean you no harm. This planet is your home too, the human commander whispered. Your hybrids, Kale nodded. We are the new humanity, born from what your people lost. For a long moment, no one spoke. The soldiers looked at each other, unsure. Then slowly the commander lowered his gun. Maybe we came here not to reclaim the past, but to learn from it. Serene smiled softly. Then you've already taken the first step. That night, under the twin moons, humans and hybrids gathered together around a great fire near the Heart Temple. They shared food, stories, and songs, echoes of two worlds finding peace. Kale stood at the edge of the gathering, looking up at the stars. He could feel Aura's voice in his mind once more, warm and proud. The cycle is complete. Humanity has been reborn, not from war, but from unity. Kyle whispered. Thank you, Aura. Thank you, Father. The wind carried a soft reply, barely a whisper. You are the future, my son. Lyra's blue light danced briefly across the fire before fading into the night sky. Kyle smiled, tears in his eyes. He looked at the humans and hybrids laughing together and felt something deep inside. Not fear, not doubt, but hope. He turned to Seren. Mother, what will we call our people now? She looked up at the twin moons and answered simply, humans, just humans, because now we finally understand what that word means. The stars shimmered above them, bright and endless, and somewhere in that light, Ethan and Lyra watched, proud, eternal, and at peace, as their dream finally lived on. The end of one race was only the beginning of another.